And good afternoon. The number to reach me live right now, 800-848-9222. I don't understand Democratic elected officials. These days, I'm shaking my head a lot. One, President Biden returns to the public stage last night, and by now you've heard he gets up there, attacks Trump on Social Security when I think by all measures, except for the arguments made by Democrats, Trump is trying his best to protect Social Security. But he gets up there, President Biden, and he calls black kids, African-American kids, colored. This is from the former president of the United States. Then we have the situation, because I just don't understand Democratic elected officials these days. We have Maryland Senator Van Hollen, right? So we have the conviction in the murder by an illegal of the mom of five, Rachel Morin. And you would think that the senator from the same state would be bending over backwards to reach out to the victim's family in a high-profile situation like this. So it turns out that Senator Van Hollen didn't even offer his condolences to her family after she was killed by an illegal, yet, and I don't understand Democrats here, yet he is going to El Salvador to fight for that MS-13 gang member.
What are your thoughts on your senator going to bat for this illegal, but did he ever say anything to you and your family about your loss, to ever call you, ever take the time to be with you?
No, actually, I'm very angry. I'm actually outraged, but I'm too sad at the moment to show anger at the same time. He did not call our family. He did not give condolences. There was no action on the Democratic Party in any way, from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mayorkas, anyone here in Maryland, none of the senators did anything to help search for the murderer of my daughter.
So this hour, maybe you folks can tell me what I'm missing, because I don't understand. These are elected officials in America, and they're not really representing America's interests. So we have the situation, and we're about to start with your live telephone calls. We have the situation where the judge has found probable cause to hold Trump administration officials in criminal contempt over this MS-13 gang member, these deportation flights. We have the situation as it relates to New York Attorney General Letitia James. She said repeatedly, no one, emphasis, no one is above the law. She may end up eating those words. This morning, she dodged questions about mortgage fraud, the scandal when she left her home in Brooklyn, and apparently she was on the phone or pretending to be on the phone. So maybe there's something wrong with me, folks. Maybe it's me, because President Trump is sending serious American criminals to the mega jail in El Salvador. So maybe it's me, because I'm all for it. I support it. I think it's a great move. I really do. I get it, all the constitutional hurdles and so on. But somebody's got to put these criminals in check. And the person that's going to do it is doing it. His name is President Donald Trump. So I want you to listen to this. Scott Jennings on CNN, Republican consultant, big brouhaha, if you will, over deporting illegal aliens, and that, the argument that you're putting American citizens at risk of being falsely accused of terrorism. Scott Jennings holding it down on CNN.
If this president and this administration can accuse somebody of being a terrorist, then accuse any one of us of being a terrorist and do with us what they will. There's due process that exists in this country for everybody. And the fact that this man had received no due process, he was effectively disappeared to a foreign country, a country which he came from, which he was basically got
It's not a
asylum.
foreign country. He lives there.
Excuse me, no, he does not live there.
He's a citizen of El Salvador.
Scott, excuse me, he got asylum in this country.
He's a citizen.
Scott,
does he have asylum?
Excuse me, let me finish.
No, he doesn't.
No, it's not that he.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not that he got asylum. He got a judge to say that he could not be.
Does he have
back.
a deportation order?
Excuse me, he could not be. Can you let me finish? He could not be rendered back to El Salvador because he was at risk of being harmed in El Salvador. That is what a federal judge. That is what a federal judge.
By who?
ruled.
No, who was he at risk of?
Excuse me. That was what a federal judge said.
He
could not be
at
deported.
risk of being harmed
he
by?
could
I'm
not
asking
be.
you.
Who could he be at risk by? I don't know. But
A rival gang.
No. Excuse me. Scott. Excuse me. Stop. Do you really believe that this guy's an MS-13 member? Because
I've got two heads of state telling me that they believe it.
Oh, okay. Your heads of state. Okay. Barack Obama said that.
So how about fighting for law-abiding American citizens? Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm off my rocker because I completely support. If Trump says send even American citizens to these mega prisons in El Salvador, if you committed a crime that bad, then yes, send them. Send them. You've heard me talk about this before. It'll open up a can of act right. Here in America, all of a sudden, the homeless and mentally ill, they'll open up a can of act right and will stop attacking people. I think, so maybe it's me. It's the right thing to do. But the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, does make a good point, right? Many of us, and I notice myself included, referring to this gangbanger, that he's like Nelson Mandela now, right, for the country. Bring him back like this guy is somebody to hold up. Even myself refer to him as the Maryland man. And the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, as we're about to start with your calls, she says she's sick of liberal media stating that he is from Maryland because he is illegal.
Well, we did the right thing. It was one additional step in paperwork that needed to be taken. Now he is declared as a foreign transnational gang member. So, Bill, even if President Bukele said, we'll send him back, all that would happen is one more step in paperwork and he would go right back to El Salvador because he is an MS-13 member. ICE testified to that. There was a witness testimony. There was an immigration judge who testified in 2019. There was an appellate judge. All of these individuals and judges ruled that he was a member of MS-13. They are one of the most violent gangs. He is an illegal alien, and I'm sick of the liberal media saying that he's a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's a guy from El Salvador who's part of one of the most violent gangs in our country. They are organized. They are committing some of the worst crimes in our country. You know, just right here, half an hour away from where I'm standing, we arrested a MS-13 member who was one of the top in the entire country of MS-13. And he didn't have any charges until we went in there. He had 4 guns. We charged him with the gun charges. We dropped the gun charges because we're going to send him back to where he came from, El Salvador. He is now fighting us in court not to drop the gun charges so he can stay in the state. Pretty absurd.
Right.
Isn't that interesting? Let's begin with your telephone calls. The number to reach me this hour, Dominic Carter, 800-848-9222. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I'll admit it because I support what President Trump is doing, talking about sending even American citizens that commit horrendous crimes, send them to El Salvador. They'll act right after that. I support what he's doing with the Ivy League institutions. You know, here we are, Passover season, and Jewish students must be protected. Either you protect them or the government is going to take your money. Maine, you want transgender athletes to compete? Well, you pay for it because the federal government is not going to. I don't see anything wrong with any of those initiatives. Line 1, Howard in Queens. Howard, what's on your mind?
Good afternoon. Very quickly, what I could say is this. I agree with Trump, but the courts right now are putting all kinds of roadblocks. They got to have content. And then how are they going to enforce it? I don't know where we're heading. Are we heading for some kind of uprising? How is this? I would like you to discuss and explain how this is all going to end up. If the courts are going to say, you have to return them, and Trump said, no, I'm not going to do that, and at what point? what can the courts do, and how do you think this is all going to wind up?
Well, what these individual judges, and it's disgusting, but what they can do, Howard, is hold individual top-level members of the Trump administration in criminal contempt of court. I still say bet on Trump because it's just going to take longer. The court process on many of these issues, Trump is ultimately going to prevail either at the appellate level or the Supreme Court level. It's disgusting that all of these issues may have to be decided ultimately by the Supreme Court. But if that's what it is, that's what it is. So it will be a delay in the process. There may be some criminal contempt issues as being talked about right now. But type of uprising, that's not going to happen. The president operates within the law. But he is very good at using every disposal that he can use, and as any president should, and that is exactly what he is going to do. Thank you for the call, Howard. Let's go to line 2, Richard in Philadelphia. Richard, what's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Dominic. I have a problem with these Democrat politicians going to El Salvador to pick up an illegal. Why didn't they go to Gaza, where American citizens are being held? Why don't they go there?
Well, you and I both know why, because they want it both ways. They want to talk out of their mouths, and all they're doing is posturing, and they're not going to get him released from El Salvador. That's not going to happen. So all you're doing is engaging in a photo op for sound bites, for pictures. But again, Richard, these are officials that are supposed to represent the American people. They will say, yes, I'm representing those whose rights are being violated. But what about the majority? What about the rest of us? And what the Democrats don't understand, they are digging hole after hole after hole for themselves. And I don't think they're going to recover from the midterms. We'll see what happens. Historically, whichever party has the White House, the other party does well in the midterm elections. We'll see what happens in this situation. I don't get it. Van Hollen, you didn't even call, according to her family, the family of Rachel Morin. This woman brutally raped, a mother of 5, business owner, on a walking trail. Some animal, some savage that doesn't even belong in the country decides he wants to play and have sex with her. And it cost her her life. And you're going to represent people like that? You're going to El Salvador to bring back these types of people to America, but you're not standing up for your own constituents? Shame on you. We've got to take a break. The number to reach me, Dominic Carter, 800-848-9222. So, again, I started out this way. I'll repeat it. Maybe it's me. Maybe I've got a loose screw here because I really do. If you watch CNN today, I did watch CNN. I didn't hear a single reference once, the time that I watched, to President Biden referring to black children as colored. They almost act like it never even happened. And it just seems like the CNNs of the world are fighting for the criminals, are fighting for the illegals. Of course, disguised of protecting American rights, but they're not American citizens. What part of this are you not understanding? Let's go back to your telephone calls. Let's go to here. Let's see. Let's go to line 2. Jay, New Jersey. Jay, what's on your mind?
Yeah. Hey, Dominic. Hello?
Go ahead, please. I'm listening to you.
Yeah. Chris Van Hollen is obviously a demon for he's defending the person that killed Rachel Morin for all intents and purposes.
Correct.
And he hasn't called that family, but he wants to stand up for this person. It goes to show that these people want these killers in our country. And I heard Tim Walz. He was talking about he was saying that anybody that doesn't have compassion for this person that they deported, to this MS-13 gang member, that they should realize that they're going to be next. Does he mean that American citizens now will be deported? I don't know. These people are sick, demonic people. And I don't know how they can come back from, demanding that each and every MS-13 gang member should have an individual trial. These people are sick.
I agree with you, Jay. Thank you for the telephone call. Jay calling from New Jersey. And, as far, I have to be completely honest with you folks. You listen to the program. I'm a straight shooter. He can't go back to El Salvador because he fears for his life. When did that become America's problem? That's his problem. That's the con that got all these I'm fleeing for my personal safety. I have to come to America and pimp the American people and get welfare, child support, daycare for my 8 children, food stamps. I have to get it all because I'm fleeing for my life when really you just want a better opportunity and you want to stay in a hotel in Manhattan. Come on. It's not our responsibility he's fleeing for his life. I'm pull out the violin. Call me a bad person, but where's my mini violin? I don't care. What I care about are American citizens. And here's a good point. I'm going to follow up on this a bit later. Notice since Trump has been in office, all of this, like what happened in Aurora, Colorado, notice that stuff is not happening anymore, that these gangs are not bucking up and just taking over locations. You know why? Because it's called a can of Trump. Go for it and see how well that's going to work out. Go for it, and because he will have Tom Holman and his team there in a New York minute. So notice how they're not doing the things that they were doing before. You know what? I want to go to Neil in New Jersey, but I've got to take a break, and I don't want to cheat you of your time, Neil. So we're going to do exactly that. We'll also, when we come back, continue to take your calls. We'll deal with the troubles of New York Attorney General Letitia James. Uh-oh. Be careful what you wish for. Wish for no one's above the law. Those were your words. Be very careful, Madam AG. We are coming right back. President Trump, the president floating the idea that he wants to send criminals, American criminals that have committed very serious crimes to El Salvador. I think it's a wonderful idea. I'm going to focus on this in the Tunnel to Towers Foundation final thought in a few minutes. But this is what the president had to say regarding that matter.
Is he willing to pay for those facilities to be opened if new ones were going to be built?
I'd do something. We'd help them out. Yeah, we help them. They're great facilities, very strong facilities, and they don't play games. I'd like to go a step further. I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that, Steve, okay?
Now, to someone that hits an old lady in the back of the head with a baseball bat or pushes someone in front of a train, why should they, yes, let the court system play out, but why should they continue to have rights, complete rights as American citizens? As the president says, get rid of them. Send them to El Salvador. Now, you want to talk about a deterrent? That's a deterrent. If I do this, they're going to send me to this jail. That is a deterrent. But the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, be careful what you wish for, because before it was Trump, now it is you. Some serious issues with her mortgages, criminal referrals to the Justice Department. We don't know how this is going to play out. It's all still very preliminary, but it is not looking good for New York Attorney General Letitia James. This is how a consultant talked about this situation on the Fox News channel.
is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also, they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So there's a lot of those questions. And as you know, the Supreme Court just stated earlier in March, in a case called Thompson, that they want to see knowing false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements. These are misleading statements. Either it's your principal residence or it's not.
Or it's not.
Either you're married to your father or he's your father. So,
and you can't have a primary residence in New Jersey and not New Jersey, excuse me, Virginia, and also New York and Brooklyn. And your father, if this is the case, can't be your husband on an application. So very serious allegations, because you can't pull this back once the applications have been filed. And people go to jail for this every day. Mortgage fraud every day. Let's go to line 2. Michael in Boca Raton, Florida. What's on your mind, Michael?
Quick comment, Dom. They'll never prosecute James because the race hustlers will pull the race cars from the bottom of the deck. You can't prosecute a black woman. And
That's not true.
Curtis.
That's not true. We're not talking about Curtis right now, but what were you saying about Curtis?
Her complexion is her protection.
That's ridiculous. That doesn't apply here. That doesn't apply. Okay, so if they won't prosecute a black official, how did Eric Adams end up jammed up?
Well,
answer the question, Michael.
Can't tell you.
But the premise is ridiculous. If you're Trump, all you got to do is sit back. It's payback time. Do you really believe that because she's a black woman, they're not gonna go after her? So then, to use your argument, how did Eric Adams end up jammed up the way that he did?
Well, he's got lots of enemies. Who knows? But thank you again.
Thank you so much for the call, Michael. You know, these silly slogans and saying that this is not the time for this stuff. Not at least not with me. These are serious issues. Let's not do that. There's a time and place for complexion is your protection, all that stupid stuff. But now it's not it. Okay, I've played with it in the past, but right now it's a new day. It's a complete new day. Let's go to Judith in Brooklyn, line 4. Judith, what's on your mind?
Hi, Dominic. Yesterday, at the very end of your show, you had a guy called Alex, and he basically blamed the divisiveness on President Trump.
He did.
And you said, and President Trump's not been in office 100 days, but it's President Trump, you know? And it bothered me. So here I want to say, Alex, I hope you're listening, because maybe you consider something like this. There's a few things here that you didn't look through. Number one, this left-leaning media, they created Trump as a monster for the past 9 years, okay? So they that's one. Two, take a look at the Democratic Party when they introduced right after COVID and kids went back to school, they introduced heavily the CRT agenda. What is that? Critical race theory. What is that? That means that, and they said, every person that is white, born from cradle to grave, is a racist. And then they had the children in classes learn about it and divide the black children with the white children. They're the oppressors. They're the victims. They're this, they're that. And tell me, that's not divisive. That's the Democratic Party, okay? And also Biden's, he's the one that created the cancel culture, if you recall. It was terrible. And also, like, parents are domestic terrorists. I mean, when they care about their kids. And I have to say, Obama created BLM. And BLM, tremendous divisiveness, tremendous. They terrorized white people. They made them kneel on the ground and say, do you believe in BLM? If not, we're going to who knows what. Terrible. So
okay, but wait. But Judith, and then I got to move on to the next call. Why do you say Obama started Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter is straight up con. They were opportunists looking for opportunity. How did Obama start it?
But it's because he started in 2014 when that Trayvon Martin with Zimmerman case came about. And then you had meetings with Al Sharpton, you had meetings with George Soros.
But what does that have to do with Black Lives Matter? I know what Obama said. It's just it's a big leap that you're making here. So I don't understand how you can attribute Black Lives Matter to Obama. They are a con. I agree with you. And the Democratic Party has protected them. But I just don't see how you make the connection to Obama.
Obama created BLM. Look it up. 2014. He created Black Lives
based
Matter.
on what? Based on Judith? Based on what? You're saying look it up. What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Trayvon Martin with the
I know Obama during Trayvon Martin said as the first black president he had to have racial cover. He said if I had a son he would look just like Trayvon. What does that have to do with starting Black Lives Matter?
He created it.
Okay, that's ridiculous, Judith. But thank you for the call. Let's go to Mike in South Carolina, line 5. Mike, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Dominic? Your opening statement, I agree. You know, so many scams going on with this Letitia James fraud, you know, and Adams, what he's done, and others. And, you know, like that lady said before, too, it is to a certain degree, you know, BLM, and you've spoken about it many times with George Floyd and this and that, but it's craziness. And things have to be straightened out. And Letitia, you know, you got some explaining to do. Everyone was going after Donald Trump, you know, and Bragg and all the other DAs. I mean, it's a bunch of total BS, Dominic. That's my take, you know.
And fair enough, Mike. She does have, thank you for the call, she does have some explaining to do. When reporters tried to ask her questions this morning outside of her brownstone, she pulled a Alvin Bragg. I'm on the telephone. Sandra, line 3, New Jersey. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Dominic. Well, I'm thinking about Letitia James, and if she did anything wrong, either she thinks we're stupid and we won't find out about these falsified records, or she really thinks she's above the law as well. So, you know, I mentioned it to my husband earlier about Letitia James, and he goes, "Who cares?" I said, "I care." And the Federal Housing Finance Agency cares, because when people start lying and falsifying things, it jeopardizes the safety and soundness of the Housing Finance Agency. But also I said to myself, what do I think about her? There's a few things that came to my mind. 1, it takes one to know one. 2, a thief and a liar is always caught. 3, what goes around comes around. So for her, I don't know, but I think that if she did wrong, she needs to be humbled. She needs to be brought down a notch or two, because we're all walking around thinking we're so great. She's not so great. And that's what I wanted to say.
Fair enough, Sandra. Thank you for the call, Sandra from New Jersey. Folks, here's what I can tell you, having covered the Southern District of New York as an in-bed reporter, which means that I did that full-time for 2 years, FBI, security, background check, the entire routine. So when the feds are looking at someone, so for example, here's a perfect example, Jasmine Crockett, right? Congresswoman Haight. The first thing they do is pull your mortgage applications, because the devil is always in the details. And notice that's where apparently this referral is coming from as it relates to the New York Attorney General, because people, when their backs are against the wall to get a mortgage, they will fudge. You know, my father, and again, this is an allegation, my father is my husband. I don't understand why you would do that, because that's a red flag. And you can't have too many primary residents. I mean, you can't have 2 primary residences. So like, for example, right? So with my own daughter, they have these programs where 4-unit apartment buildings, and you buy it, right? And I'm looking at this for my daughter, and I was going to get it for my daughter in Rhode Island, but she already has a home. And in order to qualify for this program, which is much better loan rates and so on, one of the units has to be your primary residence. So the perfect example, if I did this for my daughter, we would have to sell her home, and then she would have to move into one of these units, because you have to live in the units for at least a year. It has to be your primary residence. And it's very easy for the feds to give you this type of loan, and then when they come looking into your background, every T is crossed, every I is dotted. They got you. And so we'll see how this is going to play out. I mentioned Rhode Island. Let's go to line 2. Raymond in Rhode Island. What's on your mind, Raymond?
Hi, Dominic. Thank you for taking my call. I just tuned in, so I'm a little, trying to catch up with you guys. But
all right.
I might be a little off base, but as far as the immigrants and everything, this country was built on immigrants. But my grandfather and grandmother had to come through Ellis Isle. I mean, I'm old now. I'm 73, but that's the way things worked. And my father also was an immigrant. But, hey, everybody, this is America. We all have rights, but they don't have all the rights really we have. Yes, okay, to an extent, but they're immigrants. And these people, a lot of them, they're just bad people. They're rapists. They're killers. I don't know. They don't belong here.
No, you do know, Raymond. You're making a whole lot of sense. And you're right. You can't come here and think you have the same exact rights as American citizens. What are you smoking? If that, I know that the Democrats tell you that garbage, but no, you don't have the same rights as Americans. So you are correct. And so, Raymond, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm going to let you have the final word before I move on to the next call.
That's it, basically. That's all I want to say. And you know where I live, so in the city. Are you going to see your family, your daughter, for Easter?
Well, I'm going to leave that one alone for right now. I'm just going to leave it alone, but I will see her very soon. What part of Rhode Island are you in?
Oh, maybe you forgot. Warwick.
Ah, okay. Yes, I did forget. Okay. And so, these days I'm not even comfortable stating the community that she's in, because you have a lot of nuts out here, Raymond. But yes, she is in Warwick, and I'll be seeing her soon. Thank you so much for the call. And so Raymond just brought up the point. Folks, please forgive me if I don't remember some details. We get a lot of calls, and I can't remember every detail of every telephone call. I do apologize that I don't. But I do want to tell you this. We're going to continue with your telephone calls up until the top of the hour. If you don't get through now, I will be back Eastern Standard Time, midnight, an expanded hour starting tonight for at least the next 2 weeks. So normally I was on from midnight to 2 a.m. Starting tonight, in just a little bit, a few hours, I will be on from midnight until 3 a.m. And the reason why that's wonderful is that's plenty of time, more time for you and I to hash out the issues before our great country and our fantastic president. It is time for a break. We are coming right back.
And now, it's time for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Final Thoughts.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation final thoughts of the day. You go, President Trump. So the mainstream media going bananas, absolutely bananas. He wants to do the same to American citizens, send them to the prison in El Salvador. One, keep in mind, folks, the president is talking about the worst of the worst when it comes to criminals. He's talking about after conviction. And again, the worst of the worst. But you have to understand, the president is always operating 3 steps ahead, right? So even if this doesn't work out, even if he's just floating an idea, what is he doing? He's sending a signal to the criminals that if I catch you, if you act up, this is what I think of you. This is what's going to happen to you. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with taking the fear away from the American people and putting it on these lowlifes? Case in point, I'm going to focus on this later on tonight, midnight to 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tucson, Arizona. Did you hear about that one? And I'm pointing out the races simply because I'm being factual here. I'm being factual. A white man sitting at a bus stop with his wife, a mentally deranged black man walks up with a axe or a sledgehammer and almost decapitates him. They don't know each other, nothing. And the wife is left almost holding her husband's head. The husband is still alive, barely, but this just happened the other day. Something has to get these criminals must be put in check. I'm looking at my Twitter at my ex, and we see the calls. I'm getting to them. Valeria says, and Judith is a great person, but Judith, you may have heard, Judith gets excited and sometimes, and she thinks the facts are, and I have to be fair to Judith. You know, she's listening to some of these talk show hosts that don't know what they're talking about, and they're giving you what they call facts, and they're not facts. So Judith said that Obama started Black Lives Matter. That is not true. Obama defended Black Lives Matter when he was asked about it as the president of the United States. So Valeria says, yes, you show great restraint with know-it-all Judith, who calls a few times a week, dear Dom. I'm sorry, but I said what I said. She would be laughed out of court for saying, look it up. Judith, you need to learn to cite your authority or give the mic to someone else. And folks, understand that when you're on with me, I'm not one of these hosts that's just going to let you say ignorance. I'm going to call you on it. And especially if I know what you just said is not true. Now, Obama did say that if he had a son, his son would look like Trayvon Martin. That was his way of appeasing the black community and trying not to offend the white community. But he did not start the scam of Black Lives Matter. He did defend it as president of the United States. Here, let's see. Let's go to line one. Neil, New Jersey. Neil, what's on your mind?
Hi, Dom. Long time listener, first time caller. How are you?
Well, wonderful. I don't respond anymore, Neil, when folks say, hi, how are you? Because that's just eating up time. I need you to get to the point because we have a lot of calls.
Yeah, so Democrats are used to labeling a lot of us conservatives. So I have a word that will be descriptive of this dumb reporter in the White House 2 days ago.
It's very hard to hear you, Neil. Are you on a speakerphone?
Yes, I'm on a speakerphone.
Okay, folks. Why would you call? Thank you for the call, Neil. Why would you call a radio show on a speakerphone where it sounds like you're in South Africa and we can't understand a word that you're saying? Let's go to line two. Amy, Staten Island. What's on your mind, Amy?
Hi, I have a question. The Senator Van Halen that's going to El Salvador about that MS-13 guy.
Right, keep him.
Who pays for his trip?
Probably.
He had to pay for it himself. He's not going.
Right. You're right about that, Amy. Probably his campaign dollars or he's got somebody to put up the money. But you're right about that, Amy. You are so correct. If he's paying for it, it is not going to happen. How does it make you feel, Amy, that he's doing this?
I'm disgusted with everybody and everything.
Right. I think we all are. I don't get it, Amy. I don't understand the Democratic Party these days. They're engaging in things that they just can't win. And they think right is on their side, and they just keep stepping in it every single day.